Laila, very good morning to you.
Hi, good morning, Mike.
Good to talk to you. A quick question before we get into immigration and all sorts of other things. Why would the BBC think it's necessary to issue an instruction to their workers to say, please don't come to work wearing a BLM, Black Lives Matter T-shirts, because you're not really supposed to? I mean, how many people are going into work at the BBC wearing a Black Lives Matter T-shirt?
Well, it shows you that they've lost the plot if they have to do that. And we've got activists instead of public servants who are meant to be public servants, paid for by the taxpayer, who are actually activists.
Yeah. Exactly right. That's what it struck me. It was like, how many, I mean, if you had one person coming in, it'd be one thing. You wouldn't have to issue a statement, which Tim Davies has done. Let's talk a little bit about the migrant stories that are going around this morning. And firstly, huge numbers now. Nearly 60,000 Channel migrants have come since Keir Starmer became Prime Minister. But we learned from the Times this morning that actually the Russians might be behind helping some of these smuggling gangs. And they might actually be doing this to destabilise Western Europe, right? Russian spies helping to get people smugglers find weaknesses in the EU's external borders, including Bulgaria's border with Turkey, telling migrants how to exploit the European Union and UK asylum systems to avoid removal. It's quite a big claim, that, isn't it?
It's a huge claim, but I mean, and don't forget who is Russia's number one ally. It's China.
Yeah.
And our government's saying that if you come and spy here, it's completely okay. So Russia's like, you know what? Let's just start operating through sending people through boats, perhaps, to spy on the UK. Well,
I mean, not only to spy on the UK, but also to destabilise the place.
Yeah, I mean, we've had almost 60,000 come across since July. That's an invasion by stealth, Mike. So,
yeah.
You know, for every one person Labour sends back, about 300-400 arrive.
Yeah. Well, it's worse. I think it's worse than that. I mean, they're talking now as if we've got something like 37,000 migrants in this year alone, and so about 42 have gone out. You know, Shabana Mahmood claimed at the weekend that they've sent back 35,000 people, but that's a figure from last November. Doesn't include this year really at all, and only 9,000 of those were actually forcibly removed.
Exactly that, and that is the key point. Only 9,000 were forcibly removed. There's no. She said she'd do whatever it takes, but she won't, because she won't leave the ECHR, she won't close the loopholes, and she won't deport every single illegal migrant with no appeal merry-go-round.
Right. And that is the problem, isn't it? Because until they do that, and until they see that that's exactly what they have to do, there's never going to be a reduction in numbers. And I was saying this earlier, that, we've got 2 cases today of 2 individuals who have been sent to prison for assault, both of them living in a Bournemouth hotel, both of them in their early 20s, one from Afghanistan, one from Sudan, both of whom are found guilty of assaulting a doctor in one case and a police officer in another case. There's no suggestion that there's a reduction in the numbers of hotels being used. If anything, they're using more of them.
I think if the rate continues as it is, you're right, Mike, 2025 will be the worst year on record for illegal crossings.
Yeah.
Where they're housing them. Mahmood says, my measures are going to send a message. These flights are going to... No, the message it sends is that Britain is open for business. Come right in.
Yeah. Exactly right. And let me ask you about another story on the front pages this morning. This is on the front page of the Daily Express. It's whistleblowers talking about Sadiq Khan and a possible cover-up of grooming gangs in London. We're going to speak to Maggie Oliver a little bit later on in the show. But basically, Sadiq Khan and the Metropolitan Police Commissioners have continued to deny trauma suffered by grooming gang survivors. And the quote here is that they should be ashamed. And they do a whole litany of different attacks that have happened. 13-year-old girls, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 15-year-olds, all sorts of people have been identified as victims, but he doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, the evidence is sickening. Children as young as 13 raped in London hotels by groups of men. It's all there in the official reports that the mayor personally read. And for I don't know how long now he's been saying that there's no grooming gangs here, but his own documents, the same ones that he responded to, is exactly the same pattern, or a similar pattern to what we saw in Rochdale. The evidence is there in black and white.
Right.
The mayor, his own commissioner, actually now admits live multi-offender cases.
Yeah.
So the question is, what did City Hall know, and why were we told the opposite?
Right. And why does he continually refuse to answer questions about it? I mean, we played a clip out earlier from Susan Hall, you know, the former leader of the Conservative group in the London Assembly, and he literally refuses to answer the question. He keeps saying, please clarify what you mean. What do you mean by grooming gangs? He's being deliberately obstructive, isn't he?
Well, you know why? Because the Met Commissioner, now they call it multi-offender cases of child sexual abuse. And that usually does involve multiple offenders, as the name says. And it does overlap with grooming gangs. But they avoid using grooming gangs because it's so politically charged. And I think that's what he was driving at.
Right.
But, you know, they're exactly the same. We're talking about a question of terminology. They're organised patterns of abuse. You can call them grooming gangs, you can call them group exploitation, but it insults victims. And it insults Londoners, and it insults all the victims across the country when the mayor looks at us and pretends they don't exist.
Right. Because Susan Hall previously in the past has said things to him like, you know, is it possible that in a country like Britain, where in every single place where there appears to be a large Pakistani Muslim concentration of people, that there are grooming gangs, there are rape gangs, and these things have happened, that in London, where there is also quite a large concentration of that, they apparently haven't happened?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it feels like there's a denial. You know, the establishment is hiding behind language.
Yeah.
It's called child sexual exploitation, not grooming gangs. It's for the victims, it's the same horror.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Now, you know, now the Met Commissioner has actually admitted that there's a steady flow of live offender cases. So why were we told the opposite?
Right. And I mean, why have we never seen many of these cases being brought to court and being brought through the justice system?
Yeah. So they like to call it CSE, which is child sexual exploitation. That's why I think he was playing on language.
Yeah.
But when a child under 18 is manipulated, coerced, and forced into sexual activity for exchange of, I don't know, attention, money, drugs, that is grooming. And it often involves multi-offenders, and that's why it's with grooming gangs.
Yeah.
And it's pretty damning if it's true. Yeah. I mean, Mike, the evidence is there in black and white. There were at least 6 girls. The reports from 2016 to 2025 described 6 London victims aged 13 to 17 abused by groups of men in hotels. And he personally responded to those reports. And then his commissioner later admitted a steady flow of live multi-offender investigations. What's going on?
Yeah, I know. What's going on? It's a very good question. We need to find out. Well, we'll find out later on. We'll talk to Maggie Oliver. Laila, thank you very much indeed. Laila Cunningham there, Western